Hello again, beautiful. Welcome to the last day, day 7 of the Incoming Papers Challenge. I'm Suzanna Kaye, and I'm so glad that you're joining me today. As you hop on, let me know who you are and where you're joining me from. But today, I'm excited to share with you about what a full paper system looks like. So, what does a professional organizer's paper system look like? What does mine look like? And how can you get there? I see right now we already have Mary has hopped on. She says excited to get started. And Vicky's here from North Carolina. Welcome. So glad to have you. All right. Well, today is the last day. We're wrapping this all up, but I don't want to leave you wondering what in the world do you do with the rest of your papers, right? Because we set up the action file this week. So you have an easy spot for all of the incoming papers in your system to land first. But remember, the action file, that's a temporary storage system. So that is only storing papers until all of the actions are done. So how do papers get out of the action file? Well, they either get purged, so shred, recycle, or they go into your main file system. So we'll talk today about what a main file system should look like and some of the aspects that you need to consider when you're building your paper system. And I'll show you a bit of my paper system as well. So I hope that you're looking forward to today. It should be a good one as we wrap this all up. And just a reminder, the Incoming Papers Challenge is running March 20th through 26th, and that challenge schedule page that has all of the links, all of the replays, all the tasks, all the downloads, everything that you would need from the challenge. That will be available only until the end of next week. So make sure that you check out anything that you missed because that will only be there for a little while. All right, hopping over to the comments, I want to say hi to Sherry. She says, good morning, beautiful. Good morning to you, beautiful. And Mary's here with Kristen. Hello, hello. And Kazia's here. Hi, Kazia. She says, I was in the garage and missed the group hike yesterday. I need to see this today. Well, I'm so glad that you're here. And I emailed out a replay of the group hike. So even the replays of those work sessions can be really helpful because it still feels like it's live and it feels like you're working side by side with people. So I even pull it up sometimes when I'm having trouble focusing, and I'll pull up an old one and check out the replay, and that just helps me stay more focused and have a little bit more fun. So check out the replay, try it out, do it while you work today. Kazi says, yay for having replays. Yes. And Wendy is here. She says, good morning. Hi, Wendy. All right. So we talked about the action file, that it's temporary storage, but it's just one part of your file system, right? So let's talk about the overview of a file system. I'm going to share several things with you. Let's start with, I wanted to show you, this is how the PaperPath system is set up, all right? The foundation of your paper system is your action file. Those new incoming active papers, if you don't have a system for those, then they're just going to keep adding to the problem. It's going to be very hard to be successful with any other part of the system, right? So we want to make sure that our foundation of the action file is solid, which that's what you did this week. And if you're still catching up, that's okay. You are absolutely building the strong foundation that you need. So once you're done getting those incoming papers, you see the next level of your paper system. You need to make sure that you are prepared for emergencies, for medical emergencies, something to take with you to the hospital, something to refer to if there's a problem. So medical emergency papers, that's a huge step within your paper system. Then you want to make sure that you have something prepared to capture your important life papers, right? So all of those essential pieces of information and papers that you and your loved ones need to be able to get your hands on quickly in case you need to evacuate or if there's a problem, or it actually just helps so much to have something at your fingertips for daily life. So you don't have to go into your file system to look up account numbers and different things. But having something, you don't have to have it filled out completely. Just have a system that can capture that information as you're already touching all these papers and files, right? Then you focus on your files and the archive papers. We'll talk a lot about that today and what those look like. And you top it off with those special papers. And the whole point of having the system with those essential parts is to get to the point where you have lasting paper freedom. There are so many times where we build systems for our papers, and either we never finish getting the system built, or we get this beautiful, intricate system built, but we can't maintain it. We either can't get through all the to-do papers and all the different things that we are doing and get them filed also, or we just never get through sorting papers, never get everything filed, right? It's a lot of times we're building systems that are not set up for our personality type. And your personality type has a lot to do with how you organize anything in your life, especially papers. So most of these tools like the action file and the Spark Life Binder, they work for all the different organizing types. But when you get down to your file systems, that's when you really need to make sure that you're setting things up for your personality. And that's why in the Paper Path course, we do a personality quiz to make sure that we know what your organizing personality type is. And we have different structures of those file systems based on what your personality type is. So if you're within our quiz, we have 4 different types. If you're an administrator type, then your files are going to be more detailed, but we're not going to have so much detail that it's overwhelming. We'll still have plenty of detail for you though. But if you're an inventor type, then you're going to have really broad categories because maintaining it and doing the micro details isn't your thing. So those are 2 of the 4 personality types, and we tailor your files to your personality type because there's a lot of times where your file system falls apart simply because it's not set up for you and your personality type. So the key to a lasting paper system, you saw all those different parts, right? Well, the key is to make sure that you have the correct systems in place. For us, that's the Paper Path. The Paper Path system, that is the personalized system for your personality type. You need the right tools. You have the option of Spark Life Binder and Caregiver Binder, but within the Paper Path course, we talk about how to build your own, or you could grab those to just make it a little bit easier. So having the right tools, that also not just is it the binders, but it's the file folders, it's the file cabinets or file boxes, it's the fireproof safe, all the tools that you're using to stay organized. And then the part that most people skip when they're doing all of these, when they're teaching file structures, is the mental side. That's your personality type. It's the support part. It is the decision making, because there are so many times where we keep way too many papers because we're not sure if we need them or not. So that decision making is a problem, or we avoid dealing with our papers altogether because of the decision making. So if you don't have that mental side that's supporting you and teaching you those decision making questions and habits, and helping support you so you don't forget what decisions you've made and you can be consistent like we do. We use a paper policy to make sure that you're not making the same decision more than once and you're staying consistent. Those are really essential. So when we are looking at our pyramid, that's what's going on behind. You need those 3 parts in order for that to work. Okay, so I'm going to hop over the comments and then I'm going to show you some of the parts of my file system, and we'll talk about why they're important, what's essential, okay? So within the comments though, I want to say hi to Denise. She says it's sunny and mild here in Michigan. Oh, wonderful. Judy says snowy in Utah. Good morning. Brenda's here. She says hi, Susanna and everyone. And Rita, hi Rita. She says, hi everyone. I could only make this live during the challenge. I always learn something new. Thank you, Susanna. Oh, you're so welcome, Rita. I love seeing so many of our Path members here. That's wonderful. Hi, CJ. Good morning. And hi, Ta. Good to see you. Yep, Linda, indecision. She's raising her hand. Yes. CJ says she filled out her task bingo card during the group hike yesterday. Yay! She says, by the way, bingo is all over the web for other things. Self-care lists. It works for me. So I applied it to browsing the to-do folder. And I loved your idea that you shared during the group hike. That's such a good one. Hey, Joyce, good to see you. Happy Sunday. And hi, Edie from New York. Glad to have you. All right, so you ready for this? Let's talk about my file systems. Okay, you've already seen my incoming mail and papers and my active to-do papers. That's the action file. That's how I keep track of all of those papers and keep piles away. So this way I won't have any piles and I won't lose anything that's important to do. And the nice thing is I can also write notes to myself. I like write a note to something to do on a scrap piece of paper, and I can even keep that in my action file. So all these random to-dos that come to my mind also can go right within that action file. Then from the action file, there are a couple of different places that your papers can end up being filed, right? It depends on the paper. So one of those major parts would be your short-term papers. These are papers that you expect to keep for 1 year or less, right? Let me share some pictures. That's the action file. So this is what my short-term files look like. And within the short-term files, like I mentioned, these are papers that you think that you only need to keep for a year or less. If you end up needing them longer, that's okay. So you're not committing to a year by putting them in your short-term files. Your best guess is a year. So in a year, you're going to review it and see if it can go. Within the short-term files, in the Paper Path course, I teach how to set up self-purging monthly files, which that's what keeps your file cabinet from getting overwhelmed with papers. It keeps it from being overstuffed. You don't have to purge all the time, and it makes those quick paper decisions super, super easy. You don't have to make those decisions once a month. That's it. And I love that you only have to make those decisions once a month. So within the Paper Path course, I talk about how to create self-purging short-term files. But the nice thing is the short-term files are there in a location that's easier to reach because those are the papers you're going to be grabbing the most often, right? Of all the things that come in during the year, if it's more than a year old, you're probably not referencing it very often. But the things that came in within the last few months, those are the ones that you're more likely to have to actually access. So having those closer to you is helpful. Plus, that's where things get filed more often. Most of our papers that we need to keep, we can keep for a year or less. So this way you always have 1 year's worth of your papers, and it's very easy to file them throughout the month. There's not a question of which file folder do I put it in. It's super easy to access. Now, the other place that your papers could go to from the action file would be your long-term papers. Now, your long-term papers, these are the ones that you keep for longer than 1 year. So these are the ones that you know that you need to keep long-term or maybe indefinitely, such as your birth certificate or any finalized legal papers that might be for like the final judgment from a suit or something like that. Those types of papers would be a all-year thing or lifetime type of thing. And your short-term files, sometimes there will be some files that you will find when you go to review them at the end of the year, your once a month quick review. There might be a couple of them that you realize you have to keep longer and they would move to long-term files. So these are the ones keeping 1 year or later or longer, and these are the ones that you don't need to have necessarily right nearby because you're rarely accessing these. You don't add papers to this very often, and you don't retrieve papers from this very often. A lot of these are just in case papers. So these are the ones you can keep them a little bit more protected. You can keep them away from your main work area. So your file cabinet does not have to be right in the middle of your home office and super easy to get to because you're not grabbing them very often. And then we have our important papers. So you know how I said having your important papers and information at your fingertips so you could evacuate easily, so your family knows where to find everything that they might need, and it also helps just on the daily administration of your life, let's call it, daily administration, where you just have to look up account numbers sometimes, things like that. Having something that can capture that information and be at your fingertips means that those file cabinets in your archives, those long-term papers that we talked about, you will have to access those even less often because all of the really important information is in your binder, your important papers binder. For us, I use the Spark Life binder. That's just a tool, like we mentioned, systems and tools. That's just one of the tools that makes it a little bit easier. So that way it's already created for you and you can just fill it in. But within the Paper Path course, I also show you how to build your own if you'd rather just build your own. Depends on whatever your preference is. But having that binder where all of that important information, the account numbers, credit card copies, insurance information, end of life information, passwords, everything that's really important should be easy to reach. And within the course, I also talk about how to keep that safe because all of your important information is here, but it's in one place and you and your loved ones know where to find it and they can get their hands on it if you're not around as well. So having that system is important. And for me, it's within the Spark Life binder. And then finally, special papers. So the special paper systems, our special papers, those would include things such as taxes, your filed taxes, vital paperwork such as birth certificates, things like that, original documents such as anything that's like a notarized signed document that you might need to keep, all of those types of things that you would need to keep extra protected because replacing them is either very difficult or impossible. So those are the types of things that, as you can see here, I have a fireproof, waterproof, safe. It's a bigger type of safe box, but it's a file box made to be fireproof, waterproof, and with a lock on it. So that's where I keep mine. I also keep important memorabilia papers in there, ones that would be irreplaceable for me. So having all of your special papers protected, and you might have special situations, like if you're a full-time caregiver and or managing a team of caregivers for a loved one, then you might need a binder specifically for all of the caregiving information. That would be considered some of your special papers. Memorabilia papers, where it's just things that you're keeping for the memories of them. That would be special papers. So your special papers might live in different places depending on exactly what you need for your life. So caregiver binder or fireproof and waterproof safe or memorabilia area, things like that. So that's really it for my file systems though. It looks pretty simple, right? It looks like it's nice and easy. It is. That's because it is. So the great thing is when my papers come in, they go, oops, wrong way. They go into my action file. Once all of the actions are completed, if I plan to keep them for a year or less, then they're going to go into my short-term files, which are those self-purging ones. So they don't get overstuffed and they're not going to overstuff my long-term files. If they're going to be kept longer than a year, either I know that right away or something happens and they move from the short term, they would go to the long-term files. So those long-term files, those are the ones that I keep either over a year or forever. And then any important information that comes in on any paper that I need to make sure to track account numbers, if I get a new credit card that I want to keep a copy of, if something happens medically that I want to document, the medical history, anything, then I enter that information in my Spark Life binder before I file it. So that way that's always really up to date and it's at my fingertips. So I don't have to worry about trying to find that information. And then I almost never have to open the special papers area because for me, I don't have a caregiver binder. I'm not a caregiver. So I just have my fireproof and waterproof safe. So I know that they are protected in case I need them. But that's pretty much it for my file system. Things flow between there extremely easily. And that's the goal because I'm not an administrator type. So I'm not the type that loves super detailed files, even though, yes, in the Paper Path course, I do teach that because we've got a lot of administrator types in our group. So I do teach how to do that and make it maintainable. But I do enjoy having broader categories and making it nice and easy. Now, the Paper Path course walks you through setting up each of these. So you can see in the Paper Path course, there's what we call milestones. It's broken down into each section that we just talked about. So our incoming papers, I break it down. I give you even more tips for your action file. So that way you can make it even better. We have fancy files, talks all about your short-term and your long-term files. Important papers talks about building your own life binder or grabbing the Spark Life binder if you want to save time. And then we also have quick sort. So if you have a lot of papers to sort, maybe you have boxes of papers or a overstuffed file cabinet, that's okay. you don't have to have your papers all ready to be filed in order to start building your systems. I usually say build your system first. So that way, as you come across papers, you can start putting new papers into it. So get your file system set up first, which is why it's laid out that way in the paper path course, and then sort the papers. And sort the papers with, I use the onion method. You've probably heard me talk about it, right? The onion method, if you've used the onion method and you're watching, let me know what you thought about it. But the onion method is a way to quickly sort your papers without using so much brain power, right? Because sorting papers can be mentally draining. So I teach you within that milestone, I teach you how to quickly sort using the onion method so you can get through those papers without spending hours and hours at a time. So it's all just broken down into tiny steps where I teach you how to set up each of those parts of the system. And then by the end, you can have that paper freedom, right? So if you have any questions about that final paper system, please feel free, ask the question. I wanted to see in the chat, Rita says, question, the file folder system that protects from fire and water, is that in your Amazon space? Thank you. Yes, I believe I do have the link for that in the favorite things store. So you can check out if the challenge schedule page is still around because it hasn't expired yet next week, then the link to my favorite things store is there. You can also find it at SuzannaKaye.com when you click on store, and then you can find my favorite things. And yeah, I believe it's in the action file section, either that or the paper path course section of the of the favorite things store, because I've got them kind of grouped by what types of supplies they are. So yeah, check that out. It's been really helpful for me, and it's nice to have something where I can still hang the file folders, which is really nice. All right, so if you have questions also about the paper path course, just remember that it is available right now, but the bonuses end on Tuesday. So if you grab your paper path course and path membership before Tuesday, before the end of the day on Tuesday, the 28th, then you can get the welcome party webinar. And that's where I introduce you to exactly how it all works, take you through a tour. I tell you how to get started and make it as easy as possible for you so you can get off to the right start. And then you can also, if you do add on that path membership to your paper path course, you will get a free month of the path membership. The nice thing is with the membership, you can cancel anytime. So you might as well add it on, try it out, see if you like it for a month. And if you don't, you can always cancel before that free month is up. But I haven't had anybody do that yet. They've all stuck with it, which is wonderful. And I love my path members. So make sure you can go to SuzannaKaye.com and click on store and grab the paper path course and path membership, or on the challenge schedule page, you can grab it there as well. I also have the link in the video description. All right, so I have a question. Mary says, can you explain the difference between paper path and the membership group? Absolutely, absolutely. And also I want to say, Joyce says, I love the onion method. Yeah, everybody loves the onion method, right? I love it too. You're welcome, Rita. And she says, if you have a membership, can you add the paper path course? Absolutely. So the paper path course and membership, if you have the membership, you can just add on the paper path course. You don't need to buy the membership again, and vice versa. If you have the paper path course and not the membership yet, you can add on just the membership. That's fine. Or you can get both at the same time. I like to explain it like the paper path course is like the textbook. This is going to tell you one small step at a time in order how to build your system. So it's the how to, right? And it is just a how to. So it has, I can actually show you, actually, I believe. So within the course, you'll have your success map. These are the different things that you'll be doing, all the milestones to get to the finish line. And I'll just flip through that. It does have a downloadable workbook. If you're more of a paper person and you don't want to do the course online, that's okay. I have a PDF workbook that you can download. You can print it out if you wanted to, and it'll match up with the online version. And each step you can see is broken down into what to do first. There are small videos with a lot of the different steps. So you can watch the video where I explain a little bit of what's going on. It'll tell you anything that you have to set up. A lot of the steps are watch the video, or, do this one thing that takes 15 minutes or less. So most of the time, these steps are super fast. And that's the goal because we wanted to do small steps so that they fit into our day. I don't want you to feel like you have to wait until you have a day that you have several hours of time to work on your course. I want you to be able to work on it one step a day if you wanted to, or a couple steps each day, and it not take up a lot of time. So each milestone is broken up into little steps that guide you one step at a time in order. So you don't have to try to figure out, like, if you've ever gotten paralyzed by trying to figure out how to build your paper system, you don't even know where to start. This is for you. This is the one for you. And then it has checklists so you can track exactly what you've completed, where you're at. So it's easy to come back to if you wanted to do it over multiple days. So you can see, like, the onion method, it's got its video and the description written out. I have extra videos, also some things that are just helpful, like how to get past procrastinitis based on a question by Vicky, who asked about procrastinitis, which was a good one. So the Paper Path course and membership, that's the course part of it. So it's the textbook, it's the how-to, and I lead you step by step to build what I just showed you. You're going to build your short-term files, your long-term files, your important papers, your special papers, one step at a time. And that's one where we don't all get together and do it at the same time. We don't have live group meetings or anything. It is just like a textbook where you can work at your own pace. You have the online printable workbook. There's milestones for each paper type. This is where you take your personality quiz and you're going to find out exactly what to do for your personality. And I even give you the blueprints. So I'm like, if you're this personality type, set up your file cabinet in this order with these labels on your file folders. And each step is in order and it's got the videos and everything. Now, the Path membership, the reason why they work so well together, the Path membership is like the teacher in the classroom. And I know, Mary, you've been to a bunch of our group hikes, right? So you know what the group hikes are. And if anybody's watching who doesn't, those group hikes are, they're live Zoom sessions where we all get together and we work side by side. So it's just 2 hours. You can come and go as you need, but 2 hours multiple times a month. I think about 4 or 5 times a month we meet for the group hikes. I looked over my calendar like I could see that quickly. I can't. But we meet multiple times a month. So this way you have something on your calendar to complete some of your work, such as checking your action file, filing papers, building your, going through your Paper Path course to build your systems, or anything productive. Do your laundry, whatever needs to be done. We also have the private Facebook group. So that way you have a community where you can ask questions, hear from other people. You get the option, if you want, the text messages. They have small step reminders and encouragements. You have the papers database to help you with decisions. So it's a listing of, if you have this type of paper, this is how long you should probably keep it, anything that you need to know about it. It's got your weekly Thursday Talk bonus video. So you get extra in-depth information, discounts, downloads, all that stuff. So the course is the textbook. The Path membership is what helps you succeed. So you can even see in that pyramid that I showed. Let me see if I can put it up again. You'll see the Path membership is up on the side, the one that's projecting you up on your paper airplane towards your goal. It's all of the support to help you get there in your Path system. So let me go back to that screen and take that down. All right, so that, hopefully that okay, good. Mary says, thanks for explaining. Yes, absolutely. And Diana says, are we able to start the Paper Path course now? Yes, immediately. As soon as you get it, you have access and you can start right that moment. So you don't have to wait for a whole group to get started at the same time or anything to be delivered. It's like, boom, you get it right then. And somebody on Facebook says, on what days are the Paper Path live work sessions? Right now, they are Tuesdays and Saturdays. So we have basically every other Tuesday and every other Saturday. I think it is the, let me look, second and fourth Tuesday of each month and the first and third Saturday of each month in general. We also have office hours, which are the first and third, there we go, Tuesday of the month. And that's a 1 hour session where I'm just live on Zoom. You can hop on and ask a question if you have a question, and you'll get a live answer. So it's kind of like a help desk that's available live with me for an hour. And you can just hop on, ask your question, get your answer and hop off. Or a lot of people use it like a group hike, and they'll hop on and work side by side with me for that hour and listen to any questions that come in. What time on Tuesday? Right now we have them 2 to 3 p.m. or no, 12 to 2 p.m. 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern time for the group hikes on Tuesdays. And that's also the same time for Saturdays, 12 to 2 Eastern. And then the office hours are 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern time. And I'm working on setting up a member database. So that way you can, even within other members, set up, if you're a night owl, you can set up some late night accountability sessions and group hikes with each other. And I'm trying to get that one started up now that our new system is finally been launched. Are there replays? Yes. Everything that we do with the Path members, that's a live session. So all of our office hours, all of our group hikes, all of your bonus Thursday talks, I have all of them saved in the online library. So you can access them anytime. You can replay them. I believe there's 60 days worth that I promise to always have, at least the past 60 days worth in the online library. Usually I leave them longer until my software says that I'm using more storage than I'm allowed. So yes, you can catch the replays. The group hikes are great as replays, and the office hours are just as useful as replays as well. You can always email in any questions if you wanted me to answer them during office hours and you can't make it during that time. Because yeah, I know everybody's schedule is different, right? So I make sure to have that access. Also with the Path membership, I do, and Paper Path course, I do tend to answer questions a lot more often and in depth in email. If you get stuck, then you can email me and I try to make sure that you can get past that block and explain anything that you might be stuck on. So it's kind of like a next level of service with me too, to have, some questions. The Path members get the most in-depth questions answered, but the Path course, I do try to answer a decent amount of questions there too. Hopefully that makes sense and explains it. But yeah, so let me see. Did I have anything that I wanted to make sure to tell you that I've missed? If you have any other questions, please feel free to ask me. And remember that challenge schedule page, that page has all the links as well, and any of the replays, including links to buy the Paper Path course and membership if you were interested. You can also just go to the store, SuzannaKaye.com/store, or click on store. Wendy says, the replays are a great way to get your tips and jog my memory. Yay! Yes, during the group hikes, I share a bunch of tips and I give just extra support, extra resources, ideas, tips, and things to help make you more productive and make things less stressful and easier for you. I love that. You're so welcome. All right, well, that wraps up today. So just the reminder, the bonuses do end on March 28th. That's this Tuesday. So if you are interested in the Paper Path course and Path membership, make sure to sign up by then, because that's $25 savings for the Path membership right there. Plus you get the welcome party, which it really does help you get an overview of everything and get off to the right start. So hopefully you will join me within the Paper Path course and Path membership before Tuesday so you can get those bonuses, because they are really helpful. And also, just as a note, if you do join the Path membership, whatever rate you join at, you keep as long as you stay a member. So we've had people, back in the day when I first launched it, who they're still paying the same opening price for their Path membership each month, because I won't raise the price on them. So keep that in mind too, because the Path membership, the price will be going up very soon. I don't have an exact date yet. CJ says, this has been such a great week of productivity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, that is so wonderful. I love hearing that. Sherry says, just do it. I agree. Just do it. Just do it. Judy says, please post the challenge link again. Absolutely. Let me put it up on the screen for you so you can see it. If I can find it again. Here we go. There. So it's up on the screen. It's also in the video description. If you wanted a clickable link, then you can go to the video description and click on the link right there. And Brenda Jean says, thank you. You're so welcome. And Susan says, thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, like my shirt says, let me hide that. You're doing amazing, sweetie. I wore my shirt just for you because you are. You are doing such great things. Thank you for joining me this week. It has been such an amazing week with you, and one small step at a time. Linda says, thank you, Susanna. Great questions too. Yes, fantastic questions. So keep taking those small steps. Just don't give up, right? You are going to do absolutely amazing. Oh, Mary says, I've gotten so much done this week. Thank you. You're welcome, Mary. Well, I love you. I will see you over in the Paper Path course and membership. Bye, beautiful.